Hey everyone, it's AJ and welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, me and my sister Sarah are making videos and content around journaling, stationery, and starting our art shop. And in today's video, I wanted to go through some of the things that I really enjoyed using in March. I have around 8 to 10 things, and they're a mix of stationery and tech items that I either found and started using in March or things that I had prior that I got more into using in March. I've got a nice mix of some stationery and journaling tools to some tech tools that make my creative workflow a bit smoother. Some of the things that turned out to be my favorites actually surprised me a little bit, mainly because I didn't think I'd be as into them as I was. So I have some stationery items over here and some more off screen, and then some tech items over here that I'll go over after. So let's get started. So first are these BGM washi tapes. So I have them in a few styles. There's this pennant one, paperclip one, but what's really special about them is they're really thin. This one is 7mm and this one is 5mm. So they're much more thin than your average washi tape. The width of the washi tape that I own is typically between 15 to 20mm, I want to say. So this is about 1/3 of the size. So when you see them side by side, you can see that they're really thin compared to the standard washi tape size, which I really like because oftentimes when I'm putting it in my Hobonichi, the standard size takes up a lot of room. So I appreciate that this thin one can still add some decoration and color to the page, but it's much thinner and more lightweight and just easier to work with, I think. So I think moving forward, I'm going to try experimenting more with the thinner washi tape in my Hobonichi A6, and then maybe the thicker one for my traveler's notebook or some other medium. So I have this washi tape dispenser that I 3D printed a while ago to hold all my standard size washi. It's been really helpful mainly as a way to keep everything stored neatly in one place. And it's printed with these jagged edges so you can actually rip the tape off, which is really nice. And I thought because the radius of the washis are a little bit wider than the thin washi that I just picked up, so I reprinted it with a smaller radius so they would fit the thinner washi. I think there's maybe 20 to 25 washis all on one roll, and you can easily just take it out from the back and you can remove or add new washis to the roll and then put it back in. So this design has been really useful for my needs, and I've also designed it to be stackable so you can add tiers on top of each other. So this in particular has been pretty game-changing for storing washi, just because when you start collecting a lot, it takes up a lot of room. So I thought this was an easy solution to solve that. And then if you wanted to use them separately, or you wanted to use washi from one particular roll, you can easily disconnect the stacks and just use the washi from that roll. So I really like BGM because they make a variety of stationery items, but I really like their washi, and I feel like they must collaborate with other brands because I see other IPs on their washi tapes, which is pretty cool. But yeah, highly recommend BGM. They're a pretty popular brand, and I'm excited to use all their tapes going forward. I've been using them this month to add some color to my pages without taking too much attention off from the actual content of the page. And I like how they're really thin, they're lightweight, but they still add pops of color. I just get so much joy looking at them, especially these paw print ones, because I'm always talking about my cats. So next on my favorites are these Jinhao 10 fountain pens. So I bought two here in two different colors and styles. So this one has the smoky warm gray color, and it has a little bit of shimmer in it when you get really close to it. So I thought this looked really different from the current fountain pens that I have in my collection, so this really intrigued me. And also another version I got was this really cool wavy chromium style, and it looks really cool when you rotate it like this. But yeah, I also don't really have any textured pens in my collection, so this was a really easy pick for me. I love the mechanism of how you reveal and hide the nib. They have quite a bit of weight to them. I think they're pretty comparable still to the Pilot Vanishing Point. So these two fountain pens from Jinhao are actually dupes of the Pilot Vanishing Point, which I also own. I've owned my Vanishing Point for about a year now, but I recently picked these two up because they were much more affordable. I really like the vanishing point, but I feel like at the price point that it's at, it's hard to justify getting another one. I've actually bought fountain pens from Jinhao before. I have a few of their colors of their 82 model, but when I found out that they had a vanishing point dupe at a really affordable price, I couldn't help but grab a couple for myself. And when it came in the mail, I was very pleasantly surprised. The build quality felt almost identical. The ergonomics are pretty much the same with this clip at the bottom and how you write with the clip. The mechanism to hide and reveal the nib is pretty much the same. And I think the only difference is the band in the middle being a different design. But other than that, honestly, it's very similar, if not just a few grams heavier, I would say. So in terms of the exterior and the design of the pen, it's pretty much on par with the Pilot Vanishing Point, but where it actually has the key difference is the nib. So I currently have an extra fine nib in my Vanishing Point, and I really like how thin it writes because I have pretty small handwriting. But when I bought the Jinhao 10, I also bought it in an extra fine, which advertised to be, I believe, 0.38 millimeters, and I was actually expecting it not to be 0.38 just because in my experience of buying Vanishing Point dupes, I was a bit skeptical that it would actually come that thin just because I've never encountered another fountain pen with that thin of a nib as the Pilot Vanishing Point. I believe sometime last year I found a brand called MUJI that also sells a Vanishing Point dupe, which I purchased. And it came with an extra fine nib that actually turned out to be more of a medium nib. So I was a little disappointed there, but to be honest, my expectations were pretty low when it came to purchasing such an affordable dupe. So when I picked up these Jinhao 10s, I wasn't expecting it to match true extra fine either. And when it arrived and I inked it up and I started writing with it, I soon noticed that it also was writing more on like the fine to medium line width. It wasn't as thick, I would say, as the MUJI, but it definitely wasn't what a true extra fine would be. That being said, I would still use this pen. It's such a smooth writer, it doesn't skip at all, and the writing experience is really nice. So I would still use this in the future, and I definitely would add these two pens to my lineup. These pens came out to be around $25 to $30 Canadian, which is so much more affordable than the Vanishing Point. So if you're looking into getting a Vanishing Point, I would highly recommend trying a Jinhao 10 just to see if you like the way you grip the pen, the ergonomics, the style, the weight, everything about it, just so you can kind of evaluate for yourself if you want to spend that much more money to get a Vanishing Point. Because it is very different from your traditional fountain pen, especially in the way that you hold it and the way that the nib can be hidden when it's stored away, I think that's really interesting. But anyway, those are the Jinhao 10s. Really excited about those. I'm really impressed by them, and I can't wait to use them more for the rest of March. So the next thing on the list is the Uni-ball One pen. It's the version of their Uni-ball gel pens, but as this shorter and more chunky style. And I got this pen from Wonder Pens, which is a local stationery store in Toronto. If you guys haven't checked out our Toronto stationery haul, back in February when Sarah was visiting Toronto, we went around the city and visited our favorite stationery stores, and Wonder Pens was one of them. I had always been eyeing the Uni-ball One, but this time I finally bit the bullet and picked one up. I got it in the 0.38 size, so kind of like the equivalent to an extra fine for fountain pens. I got it in this nice minty sage green, and it had this really nice cream colored clip, which I think the standard Uni-ball ones have like a silver or maybe gold clip, but I liked how this one looked more neutral and more pastel in a way. And when I picked it up and started writing with it, it actually felt really comfortable, even at the more chunkier size that it's at. I have this utility bag by Delphonics, and it was actually the perfect size for this little pen pocket. I don't really need that many more pens in my collection. I bought it because it was really cute, but it writes pretty decently, and I like the way it feels in my hand when I'm writing. So yeah, I'm glad I picked this one up, and I liked it so much that I also bought it in a different colorway. I got it in this cream color. I believe this is called the yogurt color, and it comes with this beautiful rose gold clip. and I thought this combo was really nice, but the only downside is it comes in a 0.5 size, but it was okay because I already had the green one that was in 0.38, so it was just good to have some difference there. I'm excited to use both these pens and especially put them in these little pen pockets in my Delphonics. I'm pretty obsessed with how they look there. So if you can't tell by now, I collect a lot of my stationery based on how cute it looks, and this is a perfect example of that happening. Next in the stationery category are these dot stickers on this transparent PET roll. So I bought it in several colors. This one has like multicolor, this one has some pink and red dots, some green and purple dots, and some of them have some different styles in them. I also have several colors not on screen, but yeah. I'm really excited about these dot stickers because I've been getting really into my Hobonichi weeks and finding ways to decorate them, add some color to my pages. For every week, I'm pretty much outlining my to-dos, and each to-do item has some sort of category that's associated with it. So I thought by adding these dot stickers, it would be really easy to recognize which task is which, and to easily see which ones are important, which ones are friend related, which ones are family related, pet related, food related, etc. So when I started using them this month, it was really easy to kind of map out how my week will look and from a glance just see what I'm doing the most of in a given week. I had this other roll of dot stickers which I used in the past, but I wanted a wider array of colors, and also I really like how these stickers have patterns on them, so you can assign even more meaning to a certain dot. My favorite thing about these sticker rolls is you can just extend it however long you want and then cut off however many dots you want from the sheet. And the dot stickers themselves are very thin. I think even maybe thinner than the washi tape. So when you overlay it on top of text, you can actually see some of the text going through, which I think is nice. So I'm really excited to be using them more for my Hobonichi weeks in particular. Next are a couple inks that I recently got into. This first one is by Sailor and the color is called Kyokuya. It's this kind of smoky, darker olive color, but it also has some reddish brown in it once it dries. The swatch makes it look a lot darker than it is, but when I ink up my fountain pen with it and start writing with it, it's this really nice smoky brownish green. And I really like brown inks. I also really like green inks, so this one was a really nice intersection of the two colors. I picked this ink up a couple months ago and I haven't actually broken it in until now, but I regret not breaking into it sooner because I really like this color. This second color is more of a special color and it's called Ginger Chicken, and it's a collaboration ink between Dominant Industry and Wonder Pens. I mentioned before Wonder Pens is a local Toronto stationery shop, and they've partnered a few times with the Dominant Industry ink brand to create some inks that are inspired by their cats. So this one, Ginger Chicken, is inspired by their cat, Chicken, who is a really cute orange tabby. And when I saw the ink swatch in person, I knew I had to grab a bottle for myself. This color is a brighter, almost like a burnt orangey red color, and I think it's really nice when I'm writing on Tomo River paper in my Hobonichi. This one is very vibrant on the paper. When you look at it, it almost gives you a very like burnt sun feeling, which I really like. I'm more new to the orangey red inks, but this one is a nice segue into the more warmer toned inks. I'm very used to browns, blues, blacks, more of the traditional colors when it comes to writing, so I'm excited to be exploring different ink colors. The last thing in the stationery category is this MUJI acrylic organizer. So if you don't know, MUJI is a home goods, stationery, and apparel brand, and I picked this acrylic organizer up. I also have one that's in the wider size, maybe double the width, and I've been looking for a way to organize all my stationery more. I have a bunch of sticker sheets, I have pens, and just little things that I want to store more neatly. They're great because they're also stackable. If I wanted to buy additional of these in the future, I can easily just stack them on top of each other. And the way I've set them up on my desk is I put them side by side. I've used the thinner one to hold my pens and a notepad on the top, and the wider one I've used to hold my sticker sheets, and I've bought some smaller containers just to hold some of my pen nibs, my cartridges, these Nook Ends tiny planner stickers, and our themed planner sticker sheets, and also some of the highlighters I use. It's added a lot more organization to my craft desk, and I'm always a sucker for anything acrylic. I like how minimal they look. They're really well built and sturdy, and I think they'll last a long time. So those are all the stationery items for my March favorites. I wanted to include a couple tech items that I recently included in my creative workflow. And these two items are more standout compared to other things that I picked up, just because they've made it much more efficient for me to draw and to create videos and to edit videos. So the first one here is this Macropad, and I've been wanting a Macropad for a long time now, and I didn't know why I didn't get one for myself for the longest time, but I had mentioned this to Sarah that I was looking for a Macropad, and funnily enough, she actually got one for me as a gift. And when I got it from her, I was really excited, mainly because there's a lot of things in my workflow that I think are slowing me down, and I think shortcuts are definitely one thing that I need to be integrating into my process. With this Macropad, it's really great because you can program each key to do a certain shortcut or a certain button on your keyboard. So when Sarah was here, we programmed it together. And the great thing about this Macropad is it has 3 profiles. So you can assign 3 different key mappings to each of the profiles. So for one profile, we made it the Procreate profile. So this one would have all the shortcuts I need to draw. And for the second profile, we made it my CapCut profile. So this one I would use for video editing. Macropad itself is really convenient to use because it comes with this little dongle that you can connect to your iPad or directly to your PC. And so that's how the Macropad communicates with your devices. And ever since I got this Macropad, I made myself practice and get used to not using a keyboard, because I really think if I fully transitioned from a keyboard to a Macropad, I would be much faster at editing, just because it can do all my shortcuts in one press of a button. So after using it for a few weeks in March, I got a lot more proficient. I'm still a bit rusty on memorizing which key does which shortcut, but I can truthfully say that it's definitely made me more efficient when it comes to editing my videos on CapCut, which I easily can say takes the longest in my process overall. So I'm really grateful for this Macropad to make things more efficient and more effortless for me. But already being a lover of custom keyboards and the thockiness that comes from them, I'm really obsessed with just using this Macropad because of how it sounds. I recently switched the stock switches to my black ink V2s, and now it's even more nice to use and listen to. It's been really nice having my non-dominant hand off the screen and more to the side because it frees up more of the canvas space, just because my hand is not always overlapping on the screen itself. So this makes filming a lot more easy. I'm very grateful that Sarah got this for me and we programmed it together. I'm excited to draw and video edit more, and one day there are new shortcuts that I might want to add to this Macropad, and to just keep evolving my workflow. The second and last thing in the tech category is more of a unique one, but oftentimes when I'm filming POV shots, I'm using this tripod that I have, and I usually put it right in front of my iPad, and it's oftentimes completely blocking my view of what I'm drawing. And also it's shaky, it's not always pointed in the right angle, and whenever I'm angling my phone down, it blocks my view of the drawing. So I wanted an easy way for me to do POV shots, and I was randomly scrolling TikTok one day and I found this neck mount. So this neck mount is made by NEEWER. So it's basically this neck strap that is made of this flexible silicone. The way it works is you detach one of the ends from this centerpiece and wrap it around your neck and then lock it back in. And on the front part, you can attach this adapter that allows you to mount an action camera or a DJI, and I'm also using it to mount my phone. And the silicone itself is really nice and luxurious feeling. It's very comfortable to wear, it doesn't make your neck sweat or anything, and it's not too flexible to the point where it's floppy. It's still pretty rigid and keeps its form. It's been honestly so life-changing having this neck mount added to my filming setup, so it's much less of a hassle to set up compared to my tripod, and it's not constantly in my way. I can still see what I'm drawing, which is really nice. And you might think because this is made out of silicone, it's gonna be moving around a lot or your shot may look very jumpy, but it actually is pretty stable as long as you're not really moving around too much. So what's nice about this flexible silicone is you can extend it to the middle of your chest, and you can also pull it outwards so it will be higher on your chest. I highly prefer using this over a tripod, also because the tripod legs are oftentimes in my actual shot, which is definitely not what I want. So this also takes out the stress of finding the perfect angle. It was really great trying new things that could improve my workflow and being introduced to new type of stationery that I've never tried before. I'm really excited to use this washi tape in my Hobonichi. Also these small washi dot tapes in my Hobonichi weeks. As always, I'm always excited to try new fountain pens. I'm really happy that I found this more affordable option with the Jinhao 10s. And also the inks that I got into this month, improving my workflow with the Macropad and with the neck mount. Really excited to be using those and integrating them more. And I'm looking forward to the new things that I pick up in April. I'm already anticipating some things that are on the way, so I'm excited to show you guys when they get here. Anyways, thank you for watching and hearing me ramble about all things stationery again. It's really fun discovering new things and integrating them into my day-to-day. I'll hopefully be doing some in-depth videos about some of the individual things that I showed today, so stay tuned for those. We hope to be doing more of these monthly favorites. Sometimes I'll be doing them, sometimes Sarah will be doing them. Maybe we could even do one together, but I think this is a good way to discover new things, support local artists and local art shops, and just always be experimenting and switching things up to see what works best for us. If you guys had any questions about anything I showed in particular, feel free to drop down a comment. And if you guys have any favorites of your own that you would like to share, I would love to know them as well. I'll also try to leave relevant links to each of the items. We have a Notion page with all of the favorite products that we've loved using, so feel free to check that out. All the links will be there as well. And we're doing a new video challenge that's coming out next month where we do a video a day, but a little bit different than our February one. So stay tuned for that. Me and Sarah are both very excited for that to be released. We'll be releasing the videos on our Instagram page, on our TikTok, and our YouTube. And as always, thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in till the end. We'll see you guys next Friday. Bye!